Da 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 da. What's my good chair? Welcome, everybody. Let's give YouTube a couple of minutes to get those notifications out. In the meantime, if you've never met me before, I'm Cindy. I explore the inside and the outside. I was just finishing up with the video that I'm putting up on Sunday night. I am all proud of myself. If you've hung out with me for any length of time, accomplishing is something that really gives me a little bit of I don't know, a high, right? It is in that appreciation for myself in getting things done, and especially getting things done that reflect on me, right? That other people are going to see. It comes from my childhood, right? As somebody who's highly sensitive, empathic, what really impacts us is what other people think of us. Now, I've done a lot of work over the course of the years, but it's still in that appreciation and in that sense of accomplishing because, I wouldn't set out to accomplish things. I wouldn't extend myself or expand in what I was doing in any way if I didn't have to, if it really didn't make a difference. And for the most part, I never thought that I really made a difference. It was only in this idea of becoming a YouTube creator that it helped me to expand, it gave me that idea and that knowledge and understanding that I had something to contribute if I wanted to, if I chose to, because choosing to be YouTube creator, there's action in that. You just can't say, I want to be a YouTube creator and YouTube videos just miraculously appear in front of you so that you could just hit that upload button and it's there. It is a lot of work. But if you enjoy what you're doing, and being a YouTube creator isn't for everybody, right? But it's my thing. And who would have thought when I first started on YouTube, I just wanted to build a little bit of a following because I wanted to go on Big Brother Canada. I used to come up with these big harebrained ideas. And it was one of the few times that I kind of jumped on the idea and tried to do something with it and realized how much I enjoyed being on YouTube. At that time, I wasn't quite sure what I was going to do on YouTube, but at that time in my life, I was spending a lot of time on my own. I had gotten my first new vehicle of my entire life. I had started to accomplish things in my personal life. I was starting to come out of that heartbreak and that woisy me of my marriage falling apart. And I really enjoyed the process and I became a little bit more adventurous, but I was still cautious, right? I was still isolating myself because I'd come to not want to be hurt by others. And lots of us do that when we feel that we can't trust people, that are people that are out to hurt us, or people don't like us, or we don't feel we have something to contribute. We can initiate that isolation. It's not like others do it to us. We do it to ourselves. But the thing was, I was doing something that I loved. And at that time, I was exploring abandoned farms. abandoned one-room schoolhouses, old churches, barns, old homesteads, log cabins. And if you want to see some of those adventures, I suggest just go to my main page of my channel. I've got all kinds of playlists there because I have expanded in what I've been doing. And if you don't know, I have been a YouTube creator since 2014. That's a long time. That's 12 years. 12 years on YouTube. I'm so proud of myself. Something else that I accomplished, but I accomplished that with rewards for myself. I never got to be on Big Brother Canada. I would have rocked that show. I may even have won because, well, if you've hung out with me for any length of time, you know I'm Cindy. I am who I am, and I don't put airs about that. I don't want to be an actor. I don't want to wear masks. I've worn masks for a better part of my life. And it was just in that being something for someone else or be something for everybody. And each one of those masks was different. So I was switching. They call it switching. You're just switching from one personality to another. And if you're interacting with people all day long, can you imagine how exhausting that is? It was a skill that I learned when I worked in bars and nightclubs, because you are serving different people, right? Different individuals with different characters and lives and experiences. And you go from one table of the old time regulars in their 60s and 70s, and you treat them with the respect because there are elders. I'm one of those elders now myself. But you treat them with respect, right? So what can I get you guys today? And how's your wife? And right? Did you get those things that you wanted to get done out in the lawn done this week? Because they're your regulars, right? You get to know them on a personal basis. You take their order, you deliver their drinks, and then you're on to the next table. And right next to them, in the next table, you might have a table of bikers, right? And you go to that table, you go, hey guys, how's it going? Did you go for a good ride today? Right? Be careful not to touch their jackets. You pay them that respect, right? You treat everybody with respect. It was something that I come to learn very early. I mean, my parents taught me that. And also because we don't always rub everybody comfortably. Quite often as being as sensitive, highly sensitive, is just on our foreheads, right? That they spot us right off the hop, and right, we become targets in that, and that's a truth. But you get to learn in the process of waitressing and bartending to be able to switch personalities. You go to the girls, right? And then you go to the army guys. And it would just be one personality, like a chameleon, changing your persona, right? Like a chameleon changes their skin. And I can't imagine how all these tables that would be sitting next to each other, how they would listen in the conversations I was having with the next table. I'm sure people notice the difference, right? And it's very easy for me to switch. I still use that skill because it's a skill, right? And I earned that badge. But I read people, and when you first meet people, you can read them. You can read them by the tone of their voices, their hairstyles, how they look you in the eye. their style of clothing, the cars that they drive, how they talk, right? There's so many ways to read people that way. And then you just suit your own persona to fit in so that somebody else feels comfortable. And that was the idea, just to make them feel comfortable so that I wouldn't become the target, somebody that would yell at or think they could take advantage of. I mean, it's why I have the pink bangs. They need to be redone, but I wear pink bangs because I am a sensitive. But because I'm just as much an extrovert as I am an introvert, and because of my own experiences in my own life, right? Even being a highly sensitive, I fell into those jobs, right? Out of necessity. But right, if I had a preference, you would have seen me off in one corner doing not paperwork because I just couldn't stand. I would never have been able to do office work or something. But a job where I could just stand in a corner by myself and not be bothered, I would have been perfectly happy with that. But out of necessity, I've always worked. And like I said, I dropped into waitressing and bartending, but I've done hospitality again out of necessity. And when you work with people, you get to meet people, understand people. And a lot of times, as bartenders and waitresses, your tip money is dependent on not just the service that you give, but on your personality, whether somebody likes you or not. But the one thing that I afforded myself when I did come on to YouTube, and in the beginning, I'm sure out of that nervousness and out of that need and want for people to like me as a new YouTube creator. I was building a following so I could get on Big Brother Canada. I'm sure I did that switching back and forth. But the idea is, I didn't know who my audience was. The only thing that I could guess, it was people who were like me, who did like to spend time by themselves, who did like to be connecting with Mother Nature, because I walked through a lot of farm fields and forests. And as my channel expanded, I was doing bushcraft videos, right? And then now I'm doing my provincial park tour videos. And I'm also a Google guide on Google Maps. So, when you go for drives and stuff, especially in Manitoba and Ontario, a lot of those photographs that you're seeing, that's my contribution, right? Because I review Google's maps, their provincial parks, and a lot of my landscapes. And I think I take some beautiful landscapes because I appreciate them. And I think because of my appreciation for nature, that I have an eye for it. I have a feel for it, right? And those are my times just to be off by myself in that connection. And so I early knew who my target audience was. In that experience, I happened on to mindset, and I happened on to entrepreneurship. I had this idea that my YouTube adventures were going to put a roof over my head, like I was going to be Logan Paul or Mr. Beast, and I wanted to know. And so I was online and I was taking lessons from the experts who were working on YouTube in the background, right? In the thought leadership, in thumbnails, in different aspects of editing video and promoting video. And I really started to love that aspect. And I knew that, at 80 years old, I was probably not going to be wandering around in abandoned houses and abandoned barns and stuff, right? It would just be too old and increpid, right? Like, I suspect I'm aiming for 114, but it would be a pretty big miracle if I could make it to be able to get out in the field in my 80s, right? That would be pretty magnificent, but it's not realistic. So, my idea, I thought I would end up doing something like YouTube manager, or I would be helping these thought leaders that I was learning from, right? That was the idea that I had, that I could carry on in that aspect of being a working on YouTube by working in the background when I was done being a creator. And here I am, still a creator, but I delve deep because you have to expand. It's all about growing. And, I brought exploring the emotions on board because I started exploring the emotions because I found mindset, and I wouldn't have recognized what an introvert that I was, why I was out in these fields by myself, why I was exploring abandoned barns, why I love to go off by myself camping and wandering trails without partners. And it was a curious life that I had. It was an adventurous life, but it was a very unique experience, a unique adventure for a lone woman at that time, right? But it's about expanding. And my channel should have crashed on me at least a half a dozen times in the past 12 years. But it was only in the resilience, and it was only in the lessons and in the mindset and in understanding myself and pushing myself to be more than what I was, right? And it was the fact that being a YouTube creator often gave me that sense of accomplishment. It gave me a sense of being a unique, having something to offer, something to contribute. And in that process, I learned about being genuine. And it gave me an opportunity just to be myself because this is my channel, right? I created it. I can create it in any fashion that I want to. But in order to build that trust with my audience, I have to be trustworthy. I have to be who I am, right? I can't even watch television shows anymore. I gave up my TV years ago because everybody looks like such a character. There's so much acting. The makeup is so perfect. The voice and the grammar so perfect. And if you hang out with me, it's not perfect, but it's me. If you were to bump into me on the street, you would get the same person as you get when I show up here each and every night. And I think that's pretty magnificent. And, I have met people who have been with me for well over a decade because of that aspect of myself. And I'm so grateful for you guys. I really, really am, that you've hung out with me in this journey. It's not even close to being done. This is where I'm at now. It's nowhere near where I was 10 or 12 years ago. But 10 or 12 years from now, I'm going to look back at this moment and I'll be living a totally different life, guaranteed, because change is always present. It's only in our choices that we don't change, right? And I have been an experiencer my entire life, and there's nothing more than what I love than coming in here and sharing my experiences. So today, in that sense of accomplishment, I got my video, which will be a premiere this Sunday. So this Sunday, my live show will be a premiere. It'll be live. I'll be uploading the video. I will be in the comments with everybody else, just a part of the crew, just like everybody else. It's going to be a good time. I hope you like my video. Maybe you won't, right? Maybe it's not your thing. I never thought it would have been my thing, but oh boy, did I enjoy myself in that experience. I can't isolate myself, right? I have to be a part of this world, right? Because well, I matter, right? I may be a small man, but this small man has a voice. And what a beautiful thing that is, right? Tammy? Yeah. And Tammy is here. If you've never popped into one of my lives before, come in and keep Tammy company. She's been so dedicated to my live shows here and my Sunday night lives. And she's a great contributor, smart lady, and with insights and an experience far beyond what anybody knows. But she is such a giving person in what she shares. And if you popped in and said hi to her, she would envelop you in a moment. And then, these topics can be heavy. We delve into motions Monday to Friday. I supposed to get into my powerful word right at the beginning of my life, but I just wanted to kind of share that. Kind of proud of myself. I got it done. It was kind of enjoyable. I had to push myself in doing it, but once I'm in it, I was enjoying it. And then finishing it, oh, that was awesome. All I have to do now is a thumbnail, create a playlist, a new playlist, experience this. And I'm sure I've got videos on my channel. I think I have well over 1,000 videos now, and find some of those adventures that I had that would fit well in a new playlist called Experience This, and then I'll be able to add this one, right? Because I've never done a music festival, and certainly I've never filmed one for my channel. So there has to be a place for that because I explore the inside and the outside, right? So there has to be a place for that adventure that I went on, right? It's part of that healing, it's part of that coming back alive. Funny thing, I'm going to be 65 years old and I'm coming alive, right? But that was in my own choices. That was my own doing. We all make mistakes. We all fail. But lots of times we don't do anything about it, right? We just think that it's too late. And I'm here to tell you, I'm that evidence, right? That it can be done. It's never too late. It was one of the very first lessons I ever learned, right? I may have given up. Well, I wouldn't have. But I could have in my choices in not understanding that one very important lesson. It's never too late to start again. Here's one example I come across. I hang out with some great thought leadership out there. Colonel Sanders was 67 years old when he started Kentucky Fried Chicken. Is that not crazy? Like he was well into his 60s when he started that business, and look at how big it is now, right? Yeah. I'm not comparing myself to him, but just as an example, there are lots of examples out there of people who start late and accomplish great things, right? And don't let it stop you, right? Anything that you can get done just for yourself in what you love, in your interests, right? Maybe you want to be a YouTube creator. Maybe you have something to say. As a small man, even something to contribute, right? And I would say, don't let the fact that you don't have a Canon mirrorless a camera, you got a phone, right? I use my phone all the time for filming. I have a Pixel, it takes great video. And if there's a problem with the video, it's the person taking the film, right? The footage. It's not the camera itself, right? Okay, you guys, let's get into the powerful word. If you've never hung out with me before, this is a deck that I put together myself. 54 powerful words. I'm supposed to come in pretty close to the beginning of my podcast each night, get into the word, and it's the first thing that comes to my mind. First perspective. Sometimes it's an experience, sometimes it's a conversation, sometimes it's an insight, something that sometimes it's just something that came across my path in the feed that gets fed to me. And that's the truth, right? We all resonate with what we resonate with. And sometimes, lots of times, it's just that jog, right? That we need. That little bit of insight that gets our brain kind of ooh, right? And we start thinking about things. Now you're thinking about opening a restaurant like Colonel Sanders. That's how it works. Never let any idea that you're too old, that you don't matter, that you don't have something to contribute. Don't ever let that stop you, right? You can always find a way in. The idea is just to get moving, right? 14 years, I'm still here. I'm a prime example. Like I said, this channel should have died on me a half a dozen times, right? And here I am. And that's the truth. Okay, you guys, let's get into our powerful word tonight. I hope you're having a great night. Cindy, you really do make a difference in people's lives, including mine. Oh, you're very sweet to say that. I hope that's my intent, right? You know, that people, whatever your interests, we're all uniques in our own lives. And we all have different interests and we all have different experiences and adventures in life. And right? So I don't expect that you're going to do the exact same thing as me. But if we can enjoy each other's company in that process of our own journeys, right? Maybe at one point we're going to come to a fork in the road and we're going to split, right? But every once in a while, maybe we pop back in, bump into each other, and pick up right where we left off. It's about keeping company with each other, including ourselves in that equation. Okay, you guys, here's our powerful word for tonight. Here we go, Tabby. I'm sure you got all ready to punch that in. She'll let us everybody know what that powerful word is. I took the front card yesterday, so let's take the back card tonight. Come on. I got two cards there. Here we go. This is the card we have tonight. The powerful word. Oh my goodness. It's funny because I thought of this word today in a kind of a different aspect, though. This used to be a word that got me through, and that's the truth. Despite. Despite is the courage to go against what is expected. Lots of us just fall into line. Lots of us don't want to be seen. We don't want to be heard, or maybe we do, but we've been taught, we've been made to feel that we wouldn't be welcomed or we wouldn't have something to contribute. Even as a teenager, I would use this word despite, not necessarily voice it, but I thought it, right? Despite what anybody thinks, right? I'm going to include myself. Despite if anybody thinks I can dance, I'm going to dance. Despite if anybody thinks I can sing or swim or act or, right, be interested in my own life, that I could be an equal, I'm going to do it. Maybe I'll fail, but it's not going to be the first time that I ever embarrassed myself or anybody's ever embarrassed me, right? I'm going to hold my own. And despite what anybody thinks, if I want to do it, I'm going to do it. And I was that kid, right? Don't push me, right? Don't tell me that I can't live my best life. My father's got congenital heart disease. He could die in any moment, and he lives his life every day to the fullest. And he had lots of issues, lots of problems. Life was battering him right and left, but despite all of that, he enjoyed every single day. He sucked it up like it was a milkshake, and he had that straw and he was just all at the bottom of the glass, every single drop. And it was a gift that he gave to me without even knowing it, was that passion for life. And that was almost taken away from me. I think with intent, I was made to feel small and insignificant, made to feel like I had nothing to matter, that I was unintelligent, that I wasn't pretty, right, that I wasn't athletic, I wasn't healthy, that I was a big fat, right? But despite all of that, if my dad could be that example for me, despite what anybody says, I'm going to live my best life. Despite is the courage to go against what was expected. Because my whole life, something was expected of me that was different than what I expected and wished and dreamed for in my own life. You know, you wouldn't think that this word despite is a powerful word. But oh my goodness, so much power in this word despite. Right? Remember what I was saying about Colonel Sanders? Despite he was well into his 60s or 70s, right? Despite what people thought. He went to hundreds and hundreds of different restaurants trying to sell his recipe for Kentucky Fried Chicken. And he got so many no's, right? Everybody thought just a cute little old man trying to peddle his wares. But somebody believed in him, right? But you have to believe in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, nobody else is going to believe in you. And it might only be one person, like that one manager, that one owner in that one restaurant that says, okay, right, we're going to give Colonel Sanders a shot and see if it works. And look what happens. Kentucky Fried Chicken is one of the biggest fast food restaurants in the entire world. Isn't that incredible? Despite what anybody thinks, right? He gave it a shot and he beat the odds in that because the odds were against him. Everybody pushed against him with a different idea for him, right? Or no idea for him. This word, despite, is huge. Now, remember what I said when I first looked at this word, that a word came across my path. I think it was actually this morning in the lessons. But the word was despiteful, right? And that is a very negative connotation, despiteful, right? It's just off off-putting, but it's got nothing to do with this word. In actuality, this word is a gift, right? Because it's seen me through to the point where I could find more positive sounding words. Even this word despite is not a positive word, is it? You know, it's a fighting word. It's don't push me, don't tell me what to do kind of word, but it's a word of courage. It's a word of independence. It's a word of sureness, isn't it? You know, I love this word, despite, right? I still live by this word, right? Because I'm not the norm. I'm a unique in what I do, in what I have to offer, in the mindset that I have, in the delving into the history, into Mother Nature, right? Into mindset and understanding emotions. Like, that's not the norm, is it? Right? And to go into each one of those topics with the exuberance, the same exuberance as any of the other topics that catch my fancy, right? On the norm, when people go to school, go to school to be an expert in one thing. I'm not even going to school despite not having a degree in psychology or counseling, right? Or life coaching. I'm doing it anyway, right? Don't tell me. I'll I'm just like Colonel Sanders, right? In this moment, this is a gift to myself. I didn't even realize it at the time, in wanting to understand emotions, that I truly just wanted to understand it for myself. But it was so interesting and so fascinating. You couldn't take it away from me if you tried, despite what you think, despite whether you think I will ever make anything of myself, that I would ever think of myself or anybody else would think of me as an expert in my field of choosing, right? I'm going to do it anyway because I love what I'm doing, right? I I just didn't recognize when I first delved into these topics, just like exploring the abandoned farms and the abandoned houses and the first settlers of Canada. Like, I did that for myself without even recognizing that I needed it, that it soothed my soul, right? And then after a while, I did it for a different reason. I did it so that I could be on Big Brother Canada, right? And then to understand and recognize that I was doing it for myself and did that for years. And then to this point where I get to be the example and the evidence, just like Colonel Sanders, right? For other people to understand that they can have these understandings, they can have these experiences despite what anybody thinks. They can have this for themselves if they so choose to. It's just a matter of putting one foot in front of the other, right? One foot in front of another, creating the best life for yourself as you possibly can in whatever your interests are, your hobbies are, your work is, right? To step into something out of necessity and to discover that it's absolutely everything. What a gift, right? But you would never know that. You would never experience that unless you tried, right? And we can't let circumstances, other people's ideas, the idea that somebody's going to say no, like you need anybody's permission. No, right? If that's what you want to do, then that's what you want to do, right? You are your own leader. You are a leader, right? You might be a leader of just one, right? But that's how it starts. That's how it starts with yourself. And I just put one foot in front of another, not even recognizing that until this moment. Well, maybe not this, till a moment when I did recognize that I was a leader, right? Despite what anybody thinks, if that's what you want to do in the creation of the best human being that you possibly could be, meaning creating a magnificent life for yourself, in being that example for your family, your friends, your neighbors, your community, right? Your city, your country, the world, right? You can do that if you want to. It's just about not giving up, and it's understanding that there's going to be pushbacks. There are going to be people out there that think that you're not worthy, that you're not smart enough, that you're not pretty enough, right? Whatever the reason is. But despite that, you've got to understand, right? You've got it in you if you choose, right? I do everything in baby steps. That's why it took me 14 years. I do everything in baby steps. But despite that, I'm still here. My channel's still here. And those dreams and those goals, they're still here. And they're still here. And they're still in the present in every single conversation, relationship, experience, lesson, right? The serendipities, the breadcrumbs, everything that comes across my path is leading me, right, to what I dream of, right? And despite nobody believing that that's what's happening, I'm going to do it anyway. And I'll show you why. Because I'm going to be the evidence and I'm going to be the example, right? Just like Colonel Sanders, to everybody and anybody that comes across my path, that it can be done. Okay, let me come into the comments for a couple of words. Me too. Like you, Cindy, I've used or lived by despite for myself. I am a true miracle to be here. 57 years ago, the doctors and heart surgeon had me one chance in a million to live. And you know what, Tammy? You are one in a million in so many aspects, in that never giving up, in putting one foot in front of another, in just singing while you work, smiling when you ache or want to cry, despite people who think you can or should, right? That you're just moving forward. You're doing it perfectly, Tammy, right? You're doing it perfectly. I love this word despite. And people might think it has a little bit of a negative connotation. I thought so when I was searching for my powerful word, right? I put this off to the wayside, but I didn't put it to the wayside. Only the word, right? But it was still an action. It was still a powerful word in my life that I quite often have to look back on and resource almost every single day, right? Because life pushes back, right? Life does push back. It's not just people, right? It's circumstances. It's definitely, something that we need to utilize in a day-to-day basis, right? We live in a world of crazy town, and it's in creating that best life for ourselves in a life and a world that can be crazy town, because then you get to be the example and the evidence for other people that it's not hopeless, right? That there is a chance. And if they so choose to, and in just putting that one foot in front of another, what miracles could you create for your own life? Tammy, what kind of miracles did you create for your life? Right? A magnificent life. And yes, life is hard, right? Life is hard. But you whistle while you work. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. Singing in the rain, right? And wait for those moments and create those moments for your life where you can smile, right? You can smile at any time, really. And the times that you're not feeling good, that's when you really should be doing it more. Okay, you guys. Uh, the odds were against me, and I'm still alive and here, 57 years old. When I was 16 months old, I thank God for my life every day, and I'm very grateful. And I'm very grateful to Tammy. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's absolutely beautiful, right? And a prime example of this word, despite, right? Okay, you guys. I've got a thumbnail to work on, and I've got a video that I need to render. And you guys have a great night. Oh, it's Friday. I won't be here tomorrow, but I'll be here Sunday if you guys want to come in and watch the premiere with us. 7:30 Central. I will be here. I'll get it all uploaded and ready to go. So maybe you'll get a notification sometime tomorrow that it's going to be a premiere. If not, I'll be back Monday with a new powerful word. Have a great night, guys.